Hey everybody, this is Gregory from Dapp University. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to automate your blockchain applications. So before we do that, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already and click the like button down below. And also, if you're interested in learning how to build blockchain technology, you can download my courses for free on my website over at dappuniversity.com/free download. So let's talk about automating your blockchain applications. I'm going to talk about, why you might want to do this, how you can do it, and I'm also going to show you some code examples. So why might you want to use automation in your blockchain projects? Well, usually anytime you find yourself doing something over and over again, especially on a routine basis, that's usually a pretty good candidate for automation. And I was actually thinking about that this week whenever I was, using automation in some of my own projects, and I wanted to make this video to share it with you all and hope you found it helpful. So let's talk about a couple of use cases for automation for your blockchain applications. And I'll just give some examples of stuff that I do a lot over and over again, and maybe something that you all might find yourself doing if you're working on like blockchain projects. So let's start with two use cases, and I'll just use like ICOs as an example. So like an initial coin offering. There are two tasks that get automated a lot in that process, or repeated a lot, that are prime candidates for automation. The first is changing the token price in the ICO or the crowd sale. So what do I mean by that? So I'll pull up my screen here and I'll show you. So whenever you contribute to a smart contract, an ICO smart contract, whenever you want to buy tokens, you send it some Ethereum cryptocurrency, some Ether, and it gives you tokens back. That's what the smart contract does. It's like a vending machine, right? And whenever you're purchasing these tokens and you're sending Ether, there's a rate that's set that says, if you send me this amount of Ether, then I will send you tokens back, right? So when you're contributing to the ICO, you have Ether and you send it to the blockchain, to the smart contract, and it gives you back tokens, right? But a lot of times on ICO websites, you'll see people advertise their token price in US dollar, not in, Ether value. So they'll say our token costs $1 or $10 or $100, not it costs this much Ether or Ethereum, right? So here's a problem. The price of Ether changes on a daily basis. So your smart contract, if it's keeping track of the redemption rate, if it's keeping track of the price of the tokens, it has to be aware of whatever the US dollar value is, okay? So if you'll see this right here, right? The website says it costs this much in dollars, but the blockchain doesn't know about that. All it knows about is, how many tokens you get whenever you send it a certain amount of Ether. So how do you solve that problem? Well, this is a really great place for automating tasks on the blockchain, okay? So basically what you can do is have a function on your smart contract that allows you to update the redemption rate, okay? And you basically want to pull in the current price of Ether and calculate it, the US dollar amount, and then update the rate in the smart contract that way. So how do you do this? How do you actually automate this process? Well, I usually just do this with a basic script, right? That's the kind of easiest way to do it without over-engineering the problem, without building something super sophisticated. And I'll actually show you ways that you can, run this without ever having to really touch it. So what you first want to do is create a script that, handles this. And it has to do a couple of things. It has to get the price of, Ether, has to actually get the US dollar value. It has to be aware of your smart contract where it can actually update the ICO redemption rate, okay? So that's what this script does, and I'll kind of walk you through it here. So basically, this is just written in JavaScript. I've got some requirements up here at the top. This is inside of a Truffle project. So if you've seen my other tutorials before, where we build Ethereum smart contracts with the Truffle framework. That's a framework that allows you to develop smart contracts for Ethereum. It allows you to execute scripts, and that's what I've written here. So what it does is it pulls out the pre-sale smart contract. That's actually a separate smart contract for the ICO in this case. It's in the pre-sale round. So it's a specific smart contract that keeps track of, how much the tokens cost. And inside of here, basically what it does is it, fetches the contract from the blockchain. And then the next thing it does is pulls in the price of Ether from the CoinMarketCap API. So this is a really great resource for finding out cryptocurrency prices. You can basically just, find out any current price. And I just parse through that response, get the price, round it up to the current amount. And then we actually call the smart contract function to update the rate. So that's it. That's all it is. It just pulls the data in from Etherscan, calculates the US dollar value, and then updates the smart contract to update the rate. And this is a task that I can run over and over and over again. I can actually set this to run, every day, every hour, however often you want to for, to track the changes in price for Ethereum. So how would you do this, right? So this is important that you run this inside of a Truffle project that's configured with, some sort of Ethereum provider where your account is unlocked. So what do I mean by that? Well, whenever you're talking to the blockchain, you have to sign transactions, right? You have to say that, I own this account and I'm authorizing this. And anytime I'm writing the smart contract to update this rate, I have to do that. I have to prove that I own the account. And then I'm actually going to update the smart contract value. Well, that's where something called Truffle HD Wallet Provider comes in. And that's something that I have kind of showed in my other tutorials. So basically what you'll have to do is actually create a wallet that talks to Ethereum where your account is unlocked, okay? And that's going to allow you to sign transactions on behalf of your account on the blockchain. And wherever you automate this task, you'll have to, set your account, mnemonic or your private key so that it's able to do that for you. It's able to act on your behalf. You'll basically have an automated account that's running these transactions on a routine basis, okay? So once you have this script configured, you can actually run it on, you can actually run it from the command line. You can say, Truffle exec, I believe is what it is, like scripts, and then you can say, set rate. And I don't actually have this script say, so I can't run it right now. But if that was inside your Truffle project, that's what you would do. All right. So I'll take this a step further, right? You don't have to just run these locally. You can actually set these up to run on a remote server. So basically, you can take your Truffle project and commit it and deploy it to a server. If that server has a cron tab available to it, if it has some sort of scheduler, like if you use something like Heroku, you can use this. You can push your project to the server, set up a cron tab or something like a scheduler to actually run that Truffle script on a routine basis. You can basically just say, every hour, every day, however often you want to, just run that script. And that's how you can set up all of your projects to automate in a really easy sort of low buy-in way. You don't have to create a new, microservice and a database and house all this data. You can just create a basic Truffle project that pulls in some information and, does that for you. Okay, so let's talk about another use case. So I'll go back to my whiteboard here. And this is another kind of use case that I was working on this week, where this is pretty common. In addition to updating the price of the crowd sale, you're often going to have to whitelist investors for ICOs. So what does that mean? Well, a lot of times, on the smart contract for the ICO, there's a whitelist. And you have to add investor to the whitelist, their Ethereum address, in order for them to participate in the ICO. They have to pass KYC user registration first. Someone has to verify that they are who they say they are, and they want to whitelist them. And once they do, they're actually, added to the blockchain, added to the smart contract's whitelist. So in order to do that, you have to do a similar kind of thing. You have to just call your smart contract function to add this person to the whitelist. You might have to do that for hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people, over and over and over and over and over again. And that starts to get expensive if a human or like a blockchain developer is doing it all the time. If you're paid a lot, you don't want to sit there and just like be signing transactions by yourself over and over and over again. So you want to automate some of this stuff. And I know some people like to build these into their own applications. I don't always like to build these things actually into the applications themselves because they can be very failure prone, and you always kind of want to double check to make sure that transactions aren't failing and things like that. And also sometimes it's just a lot of work. It's just a lot of work to engineer all this stuff. And sometimes it's easier just to build a script and cheaper. And you don't always necessarily want to pay the cost to build something that could potentially fail, and then you spend all your time debugging it, right? So sometimes you just want a basic script. So what this script would do is basically talk to the KYC user registration system. And it would, we'd have a server right here where it would have all the user data of people who have invested in the ICO. And it would expose an API, right? Just like the CoinMarketCap API. And we would pull the data from that API about all the investors that need to be whitelisted. And then our script right here would just iterate through them and then whitelist them and put them on the blockchain. So I'll show you that example. That's this here. So what this does is a very similar type of thing. It opens the pre-sale smart contract from Truffle. It uses Axios for talking, making HTTP requests, just like I did in the last example. We got Web3 in here. So basically what this does is pulls in all of the investors that are ready for you to be whitelisted. And you can see I've anonymized the API here. I didn't actually expose what the endpoint is for this project. But what it does is it gets that data back. It gets the investors, and then it actually loops through them and takes the deployed contract instance and it adds them to whitelist, right? And whenever it's done, we have some output that there was a successful transaction. It shows the transaction hash, and it shows, like the ID and stuff like that. So you could add any data there that you wanted to. And you could also make a API request back to the KYC system if you wanted to give them the transaction hash or, indicate that this was successful. So that's another example of how you can introduce automation into your blockchain projects. So I hope both those examples were helpful. Like I said, these are things that I find myself doing on a regular basis. There's lots of ways that you can introduce automation into your blockchain projects. These are just two examples. And really, there's all kinds of ways that you can leverage this to save you time and also save you headaches from having to debug really complicated pieces of your application. Sometimes it's better to just keep these things in scripts that can get run outside of your projects. So I hope you all found this video helpful. Again, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and click the like button down below. And if you're interested in learning how to build blockchain technology, you can download my courses for free on my website over at dappuniversity.com/free download. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.